Hello again, everyone, and welcome to another edition of This Week in the World of Football. This is episode number 263 for September 27th, 2022. I'm your host, Randy Snow. On today's show, the Pro Bowl is being replaced with a flag football game, and Rihanna has been announced as the headliner for this year's Super Bowl halftime show. In this week's history lesson, we continue our discussion with part 4 of the greatest player nicknames in football history. But I'm not here by myself. Across the table for me, as always, is my son, Adam.
Yep, I am here. And I'm still a little bitter about how the Lions did on Sunday. So
yeah, well.
Yeah, we're going to have to talk about it.
When you've been watching them for 45 plus years like I have, you get over these in a day or so.
I'm sorry.
It still hurts for a few days.
When you can make the call even better in Madden than your head coach does during the game, that tells you something about your head coach. We'll talk about it.
Yeah, we'll talk about that in a little bit. We come to you each week from the World of Football Man Cave, located right here in the center of the football world, Kalamazoo, Michigan. We're here to promote the game of football in all its many forms, past, present, and future. Our goal is to educate, inform, and entertain our listeners with the glorious buffet that is the world of football. All this while keeping a close eye on the rich history of the game. Thanks for checking out our podcast. We'd love to get your feedback on one of our many platforms: Apple Podcasts, SoundCloud, Stitcher, TuneIn, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and YouTube, where we post the entire audio portion of this show, as well as other selected videos. So let's begin today's show with Adam and the World of Football scoreboard.
That's right, everybody. It was week 3 in the NFL. Hard to believe we are almost into October now.
Yeah, the first quarter
the first quarter of the season's almost done. Boy, oh boy. Things are flying. Teams are getting better. Teams are getting worse. And teams are still making some dumb decisions. We will get to that one like we said. But we start with the Thursday night game and that Amazon Prime game. Watched a little bit of this one. Not a whole lot. But the Cleveland Browns handled this one. The score a little wider than what it should have been because they got like a last-second touchdown that really...
Right, yeah, as time ran out.
As time ran out, so really didn't count. Well, it counted, but it doesn't count.
Right.
But the final score, the Browns took this one 29-17 over the Pittsburgh Steelers. My only takeaway is that, Jacoby Brissett has been a serviceable quarterback for the Browns.
Yep.
And, keeping them afloat is probably as much as I can say. And then for the Steelers, we can already hear those cries for Kenny Pickett to come out and play quarterback for that team.
Yeah, Jacoby Brissett has done much better than I expected him.
Oh, yeah.
So it's a pleasant surprise for Browns fans, I'll tell you that.
Yeah, I agree, and I'm sorry, Browns fans, but you do not deserve anything good after the way this whole Deshaun Watson thing has been handled, personally. But we move on. We will not fester. The Carolina Panthers defeated the New Orleans Saints 22-14 to give Baker Mayfield his first win as a Carolina Panther there. I don't really got too much from this game. Do you?
No, I don't think I even saw too many highlights from it.
All right, then we're going to move on because the Chicago Bears got the win over the Houston Texans on a last-second field goal. I thought for sure this game was going to overtime, but it was not meant to be as the Bears got the victory 23-20 to knock the Texans down to 0-2-1. While winless, they're not 0-3, so good for them.
I guess.
Question mark. And then for the Bears, getting a second win, I didn't think the Bears would get this many wins, to be honest with you, this year. But, hey, look at the Bears.
Yeah, they're already tied for the lead.
Yeah. In a shocking game, the Indianapolis Colts defeated the Kansas City Chiefs 20-17.
Yeah, nobody saw that coming. I sure didn't.
I thought the Colts might show up and play a little bit better, but I definitely didn't expect the Chiefs to just let the Colts win.
Right.
Little bit of controversy there at halftime, I guess. Patrick Mahomes getting into it with Eric Bieniemy, the offensive coordinator, but I guess that wasn't a whole lot of nothing. Typical media blowing that out of proportions probably. Yeah. But, hey, it is what it is, and no team's ever really perfect unless you're the Dolphins from 1970 what?
Right. 72.
Okay, 1972 Dolphins. So, hey, whatever. Teams are going to lose, and you just move on. And speaking of, the best team in the NFL that we thought, the Buffalo Bills, fell to the Miami Dolphins 21-19. What a game this ended up being. So much drama in all weird places between Tua Tagovailoa going out with apparent concussion, but then coming back into the game apparently. That stirred up some controversy with the NFL Players Association.
Yeah.
But, alas, he still came back in. There was a punt that was blocked by a butt.
Yeah.
The butt punt.
Butt punt, yep.
And that gave the Bills, I think, 2 points. And, what a just crazy ending to this game. And then the Bills trying to march down and, keep the clock going, and they ran out of time. They couldn't even spike it. So the Dolphins now 3-0. How about this start for the Dolphins?
That shocks me that Miami's 3-0. It shocks me that the Bills lost to Miami. I was out of town on Sunday, and so I didn't see or hear anything. And I got home and I was watching some highlights, and I didn't know any of the scores. And I was watching the highlights of this Bills-Dolphins game, and I just, I'm sure the Bills came back and won this game. And I was just shocked when I saw how that ended. It was incredible.
Yeah, what a crazy game. I mean, I guess the Dolphins are a little better than we thought. I mean, I figured they were better. I mean, last year they had that 8-game winning streak towards the end of last season, so the Dolphins have been turning things around, but Buffalo, I thought, was just going to run away with this year. And
they look so good.
They clearly are not. They're not impenetrable, or they are impenetrable.
Any given Sunday.
There you go. All right. Speaking of any given Sunday could see some pretty tragic stuff happen to your quarterback, because in the Baltimore Ravens 37-26 victory over the Patriots, we lost Mac Jones, quarterback of the New England Patriots. It sounds like, I think the official report is he's going to be out for the year. I don't know.
I knew he was out. I had not heard he might be out for the year.
I can't remember if I've seen anything completely official about that just yet. I knew there was a lot of speculation. As I go through some of my notes, I haven't seen anything yet.
Yeah, that's too bad.
It was a gruesome injury, and hearing him just scream on TV, like the way he first hobbled off the field, then had to have guys help him, to the locker room, and you just hear him screaming. It was not fun. So we wish him a speedy recovery. Hopefully, he comes back this year. But from what I think, and don't quote me on it, if he's not going on like short-term IR, it's long-term IR. Wow. So pretty tough break for the Patriots. Moving on, the Cincinnati Bengals got a victory over the New York Jets, 27-12. Giving them their first win of the year. I ain't got much from that game. How about you?
Yeah, I expected Cincinnati to come back and win a game, especially against the Jets, and yeah, they did.
I was wrong there. I definitely thought the Jets would have pulled that one off. So we'll talk about our picks tomorrow. We'll get that figured out. Then the Detroit Lions fell to the Minnesota Vikings 28-24 in typical Detroit Lion heartbreaking fashion.
Oh man.
You weren't watching the game with me.
No.
But I was screaming at the TV. I was yelling. The Lions had an opportunity to pretty much run the clock out, but they had like a 4th and 4. They opted for a 50-something yard field goal, which they missed, giving the Vikings excellent field position. And with no timeouts, they went down and scored with 40 seconds left. Then Detroit couldn't do anything to answer.
I only caught the last few minutes live of this game, and I had heard that they had gone for it on 4th down a couple of times during the game.
Literally 5 or 6 times.
Really?
They were like
many?
6 of 8 during the day. It was crazy.
So, why wouldn't you go for it on 4th down? Even if you didn't make it,
better field position than leaving
They're deeper in their end of the field than at midfield after trying a 50 whatever yard field goal. And they had no timeouts. Had they gotten the first down, it would have just
it's done.
Right off the clock.
Over.
Yeah. So it was a terrible decision. I don't blame the players for this one. I blame the play calling. Whether it was Dan Campbell calling the plays, which I don't think it was, but the offensive coordinator.
But it did come down to his decision to go for it or kick the field goal.
Right.
So my thing is he overthought it, thinking, and I get some of the rationale where it's if you kick the field goal, so you make the field goal, you're up by 6 points.
Right. So they still could have come down and scored.
But at that point, you kick it down to the other end of the field, hopefully pinning them back within the 20-yard line, and then you make them drive 80 yards with a minute and change left, which is easier than that same time from the 50-yard line. Yeah. So I get a little bit of where you were trusting your defense there, but at that point, you were going for it all day on 4th down.
Yeah.
And you missed a 50-yard field goal earlier in the game. What makes you think all of a sudden that this Seibert guy is going to get it?
Yeah.
Like, I wouldn't have had faith in him. I would have been like, look, man, you didn't nail it from there earlier. Even the other team missed a field goal facing this direction. Let's try to just get this 4th down. We get this, it's done.
Yeah.
It's like going for it. Going for the 2-point conversion on the road. Like, more teams are doing that. You know why? Because you go in, you get the victory, and you get out.
Mm-hmm.
Here, you had that opportunity to get in, get 4 yards, and the game is over. And just a mental error on coach's part. He even admitted to it. So I'm hoping we never see a dumb mistake like that again. But, man, it was infuriating.
Yeah, and
I could have done that in Madden.
And this was our first division game of the year. So this is, it's like 2 games in one. You win a division game, and, that sits a lot better on your record. But, man, oh, man. This was just awful.
It was a tough one.
Like I said, I don't blame the players for this one. They did all they could do. I blame the coaching staff for a letdown at the end of the game.
What makes it even tougher now is I actually think we have a legitimate Lions team. It's not the 3-13 team we had last year that was scrappy.
Right.
No, this is a team that we hung with the Eagles. I mean, the Eagles are a good team, and the Lions eventually came back on them.
Scored 35 on
35.
them.
We
lost
had
by 3.
Yeah, we lost by 3. We came out, we beat the snot out of the Commanders for a half, and then kind of let them back into it. But this is a game we were up by 14 points at one point and 10 points at one point, and just let that one slip through our fingers again. It's just I don't get it. You're better, you're a better team than this. I hate when teams let their foot off the gas. Never let your foot off the gas. We saw Jimmy Johnson on the Monday night broadcast and how people complained about him doing, running up the score. It's like, you know what? I think that's my philosophy from now on. Why would you even let another team come back in? If you're gonna the object of the game is to score more points than your opponent.
Right.
Every drive, they should be trying to go down there and score it. Or if you have the ability, just keep running it down their throats and run out some clock then. And if you can't do that, then what are we doing here?
Yeah.
All right, I'm tired of talking about the Lions.
So many teams, they get a little bit of a lead, and then they go into just
a prevent offense.
Yeah, prevent offense, and it always backfires on them. So that I don't get. Let's continue. I'm tired of talking about the Lions.
The Tennessee Titans beat the Las Vegas Raiders, or the loss with OSS on the end. Vegas Raiders 24-22. It was nice seeing Derrick Henry back to his old form. Man, oh man, what a good sight to see. Anything from you for this one?
No.
All right. The Philadelphia Eagles went on the road and just destroyed the Washington Commanders 24-8. At one point, it was 24-2. And I was having a good laugh about that, but the Eagles getting revenge on their old quarterback there. The Jacksonville Jaguars with a nice upset in Los Angeles, defeating the Chargers 38-10. All right, I'm just going to keep going if you're not going to chime in.
No.
The Los Angeles Rams got a 20-12 victory over the Arizona Cardinals. The Atlanta Falcons with a 27-23 victory over the Seahawks. The Green Bay Packers went down to Tampa and got a 14-12 victory over the Buccaneers. I watched this game, and boy, oh boy, I feel bad for Tom Brady. He ain't got nobody to throw to, and if he does, they catch it and they fumble it. It was really bad.
Yeah,
Green Bay looked good and strong at first, but that Tampa defense is real. That Tampa defense is legit.
Yeah, I wonder if Brady is sorry that he came back for another season. With
Probably.
the problems at home with that decision and coming back to a team that is not the same team that it was last year.
I mean, they're 2-1. I mean,
yeah, well, but still.
They're 2-1. They had a chance to tie it up at 14. They just couldn't get that 2-point conversion at the end of the game, which is tough.
Yeah, I don't know if that team can afford that many more tablets on the sideline for him to throw around.
The league definitely slapped everybody's wrist because of Tom Brady for that one. Hey, stop knocking our equipment around. And then also you got a beehive in the goalpost.
I saw that.
Did you see that? It was nuts. But yeah, so Green Bay getting the victory there. Neither of those teams looked great. Neither did the teams on Sunday Night Football, as the Denver Broncos got the 11-10 victory. That's right. When's the last time you ever seen a score 11-10? That's got to be a part of the scoregami. I should look that up.
That's like a CFL score.
Right? But the Broncos got the victory, 11-10. Russell Wilson cooking up some chicken with NyQuil last night. Good Lord. Or the other night. And then last night in the Monday night game, the Dallas Cowboys got a victory on the road, 23-16 over the New York Giants. That first half was a snooze fest, and apparently it picked up in the second half.
The second half was not a whole lot better. The Giants had their opportunities, but boy, the Dallas defense was just all over the quarterback for the Giants. I mean, it was early on. It was both of the defenses were playing very well.
Both defenses looked great, but I mean, the offenses would drive, but then the defenses would just stall them out. I mean, it was great on both sides. But do you know what you and Kenny Galladay have in common?
What's that?
You both had 0 catches for 0 yards last night.
Oh,
but you want to know what the big difference is?
No.
He still made $700,000 last night playing that game, and you did not.
Yeah, well, close, but not that
I just can't believe the disappearance of Kenny Galladay in the New York Giants offense is just baffling to me.
Yeah, he was a great
He
player
was a
for
stud in Detroit.
And for some reason we let him go. Maybe they knew.
Well, no, I don't know what they
coming.
knew, but to me it was they didn't want to pay him that money. Like, yeah, you're a good receiver, but we're a rebuilding team. We can't afford to pay a receiver that kind of money right now. And you know what? Good for him. He went to New York. He got paid, and he has not produced. He might be a guy we see on the trade block this year. Good Lord. I mean, I feel bad because I liked Kenny Galladay.
Yeah,
I'm still rooting for Kenny Galladay. I just don't know what is going on with him in New York. All right, that's it.
I was very upset when they cut him. But
well, they didn't cut him. They just let his contract lapse.
Yeah, whatever. When they let him get away.
Yeah, but anyway, moving on. Maybe they'll trade him back to Detroit for a bag of chips.
No.
Are you kidding me? I would take Kenny Galladay back in a heartbeat. All right, moving on. We're going to talk about CFL now. That's right. We're moving from NFL to CFL. We'll come back to the NFL in the news segment. But in the CFL, we had the Montreal Alouettes Friday night defeat the Hamilton Tiger Cats 23-16. Montreal quarterback Trevor Harris and wide receiver Eugene Lewis connected for a pair of touchdowns in the win. Harrison completed 26 passes for 244 yards and 2 touchdowns, while Lewis caught 7 passes for 52 yards and those 2 touchdowns. For Hamilton, quarterback Dane Evans completed 2 passes for 288 yards.
22 passes.
22 passes.
Not 2 passes for 288.
Completed 22 passes for 288 yards. You got me messing up. But no touchdowns. And wide receiver Tim White caught 6 passes for 105 yards. Seth Small kicked 3 field goals for Hamilton, while Montreal kicker David Cote also kicked 3 field goals, the longest being 51 yards in the third quarter. All right, then on Saturday, we saw the Toronto Argonauts defeat the Ottawa Red Blacks 45-15, clinching a playoff spot for those Toronto Argonauts.
Even if we didn't get to see them this year, good for them.
Yeah. Let's not get into that drama, too. Jeez. The Toronto defense recorded 5 interceptions in the game, 2 of which were returned for touchdowns. Toronto quarterback McLeod Bethel Thompson, one of the coolest names you'll ever hear,
really.
completed 21 passes for 200. Sounds like a GQ model name. Completed 21 passes for 245 yards and 3 touchdowns, while wide receiver DeVaris Daniels caught 5 passes for 100 yards. On Ottawa's side, quarterback Nick Arbuckle, also a cool name, completed 23 passes. Sounds like he should be making popcorn somewhere. Completed 23 passes for 231 yards, no touchdowns, and 2 interceptions. While his replacement, Caleb Evans, completed 10 passes for 137 yards, no touchdowns, 3 interceptions. Do you want to finish that one out for me?
Yeah. Wide receiver Nate Bahar caught 9 passes for 119 yards. These were the best highlights of the week. I mean, when you got 5 interceptions in a game, the ball was all over the place. It was bouncing up, and people were knocking passes down. These were some cool highlights. So, yeah, in my book, this was the game that was the highlights of the week.
All right. And moving on, also Saturday night saw the Calgary Stampeders defeat the British Columbia Lions 25-11. So the losing team scored as many points as the Denver Broncos. This is a rematch from last week. The Stamps and Lions both earned playoff spots, regardless of how they did in that game.
Yeah.
Again.
It was based on some of the other games. Calgary won the game, but
right.
Yeah, but
we get how football math works.
Okay.
Calgary executed a perfect onside kick, according to Randy in his notes, on the opening kickoff of the game and got the ball at the British Columbia 41-yard line. However, Rene Paredes missed a 41-yard field goal, so they got no point after the onside kick recovery. Calgary led 12-0 at halftime and never looked back for the rest of the game. Calgary quarterback Jake Mayer completed 27 passes for 294 yards, while running backs Kadeem Carey and Peyton Logan each scored a rushing touchdown. On British Columbia's side, quarterback Vernon Adams completed 12 passes for 152 yards, and quarterback Antonio Pipkin completed 4 passes for 66 yards and a touchdown. Wide receiver Dominique Rhymes caught 3 passes for 46 yards and a touchdown, while Rene Paredes kicked 4 field goals during the game. And on bye this week in the CFL, the Edmonton Elks, Saskatchewan Roughriders, and Winnipeg Blue Bombers. Again, another week of 3 teams on bye.
Yep.
And the CFL standings have now decided 4 of 6 playoff spots. And we're going to run down those right now. In the East, clinching that playoff spot, as we just mentioned, the 8-5 Toronto Argonauts in the East, followed by the 6-7 Montreal Alouettes, the 4-10 Hamilton Tiger Cats, and the 3-10 Ottawa Red Blacks. In the West, we have the Winnipeg Blue Bombers at 12-2 who clinched the playoff spot. The 9-4 British Columbia Lions who clinched the spot, as well as the 9-5 Calgary Stampeders who clinched the playoff spot. The Saskatchewan Roughriders sit at 6-8, while the Edmonton I almost went there. The Edmonton Elks went 4-10. And with that, we're going to throw it over to Randy and the college scores.
I was looking to see if I typed Eskimos on the thing, but no,
that was
I put Elks, and you was reading.
I was like getting ahead of myself, and I just saw Edmonton. My brain went to Eskimos.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's move on to some college scores. This was week 3 in college football, and we're going to start at the FBS level with number 1 Georgia over Kent State, 39-22. It was number 2 Alabama over Vanderbilt, 55-3. Number 3 Ohio State over Wisconsin, 52-21. Number 4 Michigan over Maryland, 34-27. It was number 5 Clemson outlasting number 21 Wake Forest, 51-45 in overtime. Kansas State upset number 6 Oklahoma, 41-34. It was number 23 Texas A&M upsetting number 10 Arkansas, 23-21. Texas Tech upset number 22 Texas, 37-34 in overtime. Middle Tennessee State upset number 25 Florida, 45-31. Temple shut out Massachusetts, 28-0, and we mentioned Temple now because we know that Kurt Warner's son is the quarterback there. So I thought I'd throw that score in. Western Kentucky shut out Florida International, 73-0, and San Jose State defeated our beloved Western Michigan Broncos by the score of 34-6. Now, this game didn't kick off till 10:30 at night here on the East Coast, and I knew I wasn't going to stay up that late to watch it, so I recorded it. I watched it the next morning, not knowing.
Oh, you didn't even know the score?
I did not know the score. In fact, I even forgot that I recorded it. I got up, and I'm looking at the DVR, and, oh, yeah, there's the Western game. So I started watching it, and oh, man,
that's a bad way to eat your cornflakes.
I was so glad I didn't stay up for that game because Western was just, oh, God, they were shooting themselves in the foot left and right in this game. I don't know. It was bad. They beat San Jose State at Western Michigan.
We were at that game.
We were at that game. They just beat these guys up like nobody's business, and then they go out there this year and wow, 34-6. Yipe. I think their Western's only score was a 90-yard kickoff return. That was the only. They couldn't even make the 2-point conversion after that. So, oh well. Moving to the military academies, it was Air Force over Nevada, 48-20. Navy over East Carolina, 23-20 in overtime, and Army did not play this week. All right, from here on, it's 3 random scores from all of the other divisions in college football. In FCS, it was Harvard over Brown, 35-28. Bethune-Cookman over Grambling, 36-19. And Stephen A. Austin
Stephen F. Austin.
Yeah, I was thinking Stephen A. Smith. Stephen F. Austin shut out NAIA Warner by the score of 98-0.
That's right, 98-0.
What are you doing beating up on an NAIA school? In the first quarter, Stephen F. Austin scored 35 points, 24 in the second, 12 in the third, and 27 in the fourth quarter. They used 4 quarterbacks who threw for a combined 29 of 35 passing for 478 yards. This was the first game of the season for the Warner Royals. Man, they couldn't have given up a little bit, left them a little bit of dignity in their first game of the season.
As we were just talking about, you run up that score. You do not let that other team get back in the game.
Well,
but 98-0.
If you're a pro, that's fine. In college, you have a little.
I don't know, 98-0 though. I mean,
for an NAIA school, they're much smaller than
that'd be like
FCS
Alabama
school.
beating Western 98-0. I mean, good lord.
No, that's a bigger difference.
Okay, sorry. It'd be like Alabama beating Stephen F. Austin 98-0.
All right, moving on. Division II, it was Saginaw Valley over Michigan Tech, 35-13. Pittsburgh State, the Gorillas, squeaked by Emporia State, 14-13, and it was Delta State over West Florida, 45-42 in 2 overtimes. In Division III, Alfred over Kalamazoo College, 31-23. And it was Alfred State over Defiance, 42-33.
Wait a minute. Is there a state in the United States called Alfred I don't know about?
No. We made a joke last year about Alfred.
Did we?
Alfred the Butler, but I didn't want to go there this time. But I knew there was an Alfred. I didn't know there was an Alfred State also.
Dang.
So, yeah. And then the Coast Guard Academy over Anna Maria. What are they doing beating up on a girl? 66-28. At the NAIA level, it was St. Xavier of Illinois over number 16 St. Francis from Fort Wayne, Indiana. I've been to their stadium gorgeous place, by the score of 25-20. It was Friends of Kansas over St. Mary's of Kansas, 38-20. And Oklahoma Panhandle State over Lyon of Arkansas, 25-16. At the National Junior College level, New Mexico Military over Blinn, 24-21. Iowa Central over DuPage, 53-3. And Trinity Valley over Cisco, 51-13. Now we move up to Canada to their version of the NCAA U Sports in Canada. It was Laval over Concordia, 60-14. Montreal over McGill, 29-12. And Regina over the University of British Columbia, 21-13. And finally, in the Canadian Junior Football League, it was the London Beefeaters over the Ottawa Sooners, 31-6. The Regina Thunder over the Winnipeg Rifles, 29-23. And the Saskatoon Hilltops over the Calgary Colts, 35-17. And that is it for this week's World of Football scoreboard. Over 50 scores every week so far.
Gracious. I mean, we always, the first half hour of the show normally now is dedicated to the scores. I mean,
well, we like to include everybody. You know, there's a lot of football out there that doesn't get any kind of recognition, but kids are out there playing their hearts out for their school.
You know what? Maybe if they started listening to our podcast, we could start talking about their school. You know what? If your school doesn't listen to us, we aren't going to talk about you. We're looking at you, Alabama.
If you want to learn any more about any of these divisions, like U Sports up in Canada, or the Canadian Junior Football League, or the National Junior College Division, there are links to all of these on our website. Go to our links page, and you will find links to all these different divisions.
And if you want Randy to list off a random high school score from all 50 states to add another 50 scores into our rundown, hit us up on Twitter.
We can't do that.
What do you mean we can't? Can't or won't?
I can't do that.
You can.
I can't.
Mr. Retire, you got all the time in the world. I bet you could.
You know how long it takes me to go through all these websites to go through all the scores and pick out 3 random scores?
I don't know. How many bathroom breaks do you take in there?
It depends on how much Mountain Dew I'm
You can probably
drinking
find them on the toilet if you're really trying.
And we'll call it the Toilet Bowl Report.
There you go. These are the scores of the week that Randy has found from the toilet this week, just randomly scrolling through his phone. You know what? I challenge you next week to come in and give me 50 scores from 50 different high schools across the country.
No.
You could easily do that. You know you could.
No, can't do it.
But Randy's Toilet Bowl Report, huh? I mean, that... Wait, can we just set up a GoPro in your bathroom? We could tastefully set it up to where we just see you from the chest up. We don't have to see anything down below, but it's just you with your little readers on the edge of your nose looking up scores like, oh, that's a cool score. And that'd be the bit. That's the bit for 8 minutes.
No.
Is you just
look
at that score from...
Not going to happen.
We would pay for that content.
Moving on to some NFL news. Amazon Prime averaged 13 million viewers for their inaugural game between the Kansas City Chiefs and the LA Chargers. You know, we were talking about this all last week. They didn't come out with any numbers
which made
for
me
over a week.
It took them a while to get the numbers out, which I think is weird for a streaming service. Like you should have those numbers instantly.
Yeah.
But I don't know what they were missing, and I'll admit it, I was wrong saying I thought maybe the numbers weren't so hot, and clearly the numbers were fantastic.
13 million is pretty good, but when you compare that to the first Monday Night Football game of the season between Denver and Seattle, that game drew 119.9 million viewers. So 119 compared to 13 million, that's a pretty big drop off, but I think that's pretty good for a streaming service.
For a streaming service with a live sport, I want to say that's pretty good. And I know Amazon definitely saw people subscribing just to watch it, which I think for Amazon, that's where the victory lies. It's not like that they got 13 million viewers. It's that they picked up an extra 5 million subscribers to their service, which means more money. I mean, Amazon's already got enough money, so what's that matter? But I think for that bottom line and for those shareholders and all those people there, Jeff Bezos is sitting there just greedily rubbing his palms together like, oh, yes, we're making the money now.
Now I got enough to send a probe to Mars or something.
I mean, there's even, I admit, it's got to be working because even a coworker said they signed up for Amazon Prime just to watch the Thursday night game. So there are people like that who are just going to sign up just to watch the Thursday night games.
Well, you signed up for Disney Plus and realized within a few days that this is not what you thought it was. So
No, that's NFL Plus.
I'm sorry. What did I say?
You said Disney Plus.
Oh, yeah.
I'm
had
sorry,
that for a long time.
Disney overlords. I am very happy with Disney Plus. Please give me more Marvel and Star Wars stuff. Please and thank you.
Yeah, but it'll be interesting to keep an eye on some of these numbers. I don't know if they'll be reporting them every week to see if they gain in viewership on the Thursday night game, or
hard to tell.
Is this going to be the peak for the season?
You would think that the Nielsen ratings would have something to do with live sporting, but I don't know how all that works. That's a whole complicated mess.
Well, these were Nielsen. These were reported by the Nielsen ratings.
Okay, so maybe Nielsen will at least at some point be reporting a lot of these numbers. So
well, yeah, we'll keep our eyes open. You know, they may have a game in a couple of weeks where they'll set a a new all-time record or something for a Thursday night game.
I want not a pie chart. I want a graph with all the numbers.
Yeah, I'll get to work on that right away.
You don't need to. Somebody on the internet's probably already doing it.
All right, Rihanna has been named the headliner of the Apple Music Super Bowl halftime show this year. I've heard of Rihanna.
Oh, wait a minute. No, you have not.
You were kidding me last year where when they had Snoop Dogg and Eminem and Mary J. Blige
50 Cent.
And all those guys on the halftime show. I knew most everybody. Kendrick Lamar, I think, was the one I wasn't the most familiar
Kendrick
with.
Lamar, yeah.
Everybody
loves Kendrick.
And most of their songs. I mean, I watched the halftime show. I knew almost all their songs, so it wasn't that bad. I know who Rihanna is, but to me, more than I can't really say I've heard any of her music. I know you were going to play me some, but I know her more from the movie Battleship.
Oh my! I was going to make a joke that might be the only place you know her from, and you went there. Goodness gracious!
But I guess she was also in Ocean's 8. And
she was good in Ocean's 8.
I never saw that movie. And
what do you mean? Hold on, it's time out. I know this is a football podcast, but I'm going to put my movie viewer hat on. How have you not seen Ocean's 8?
I've not seen any of the Ocean's movies.
Well, Ocean's 8 is up your alley. You like Sandra Bullock, don't you?
Oh, I love Sandra Bullock. Well,
this has got Sandra Bullock in it. You like Nora from Queens, Awkwafina. You like Awkwafina, don't you?
I like Awkwafina.
Awkwafina's in this movie. You like Cate Blanchett, don't you?
I think so.
Well, she's a good actress, and she's in this movie. This is totally up your alley. Do you like James Corden?
I'm not sure who that is.
He's the British comedian who's got that late night talk show.
Oh, him.
Comedians in car karaoke thing.
Yeah, okay.
You like him?
Yeah, he's okay.
He's in this movie, so you need to go check this movie out.
Okay, but
I think it's great.
Like I said, she was in Battleship, and I've seen a little bit of that movie, and not the whole thing, but I caught a little bit of it on TV not too long ago. So I know she was in that. It says she was in Ocean's 8, and also in the movie This Is the End, which I know you're familiar with.
That's a great comedy.
Yeah,
it's fantastic.
I've seen bits and pieces of that movie, and I can't say as I remember her.
She's in a quick bit at the beginning. She slaps Michael Cera in the face. It's great.
Okay. But from what I read, her last album was released in 2016. She last performed music live in front of an audience in 2019, and she's won 6 Grammy Awards over the years. And so, my point is, couldn't they got somebody that's not out of practice performing to do a Super Bowl halftime show?
How dare you talk about Riri like this? How dare you? She's got a lot of great hits, some of which we can't play for fear of getting demonetized. For not having our channels taken down and all that. But I mean, come on, great songs like "Only Girl in the World." You kidding me? Her S&M song. She's got so many great songs. I believe she does that Titanium song.
Don't bother listing them off because I probably haven't.
Umbrella. How do you not even know Umbrella? I'm
sorry.
Great.
She's not on the Beatles channel on Sirius XM, and that's what I listen to all the time.
You're unbelievable.
So anyway, she's going to headline the show. They're not sure if she's going to have somebody else be on there with her.
She probably
will. There's talk she will. There's talk she won't. We'll just have to wait.
We got a few months to figure that out.
But yeah,
I'm a little bummed that Taylor Swift didn't get it, but hey, whatever.
Yeah, that was it was like 2 days later after they said Taylor Swift was the front runner, and all of a sudden now it's Rihanna, and no Taylor Swift at all.
And the other big thing, this is Apple Music taking this on. I mean, for years it's been the Pepsi halftime show. Now Apple Music taking it over, and Apple's just got so much gosh darn money. That's what makes me think that this might be an indicator that when Direct Ticket or Direct TV NFL Sunday Ticket gets moved, Apple's going to be taking it. That's what I think. That's just my prediction.
Could be. All right, and then the other big NFL story that came out this week, which makes me sad, the Pro Bowl is going to be replaced with a week-long skills competition and a flag football game at the end, and it's going to be, of course, at Allegiant Stadium in Las Vegas this year. I am so sad to see the Pro Bowl going away, but you saw the writing on the wall. The last few years, the games have been a joke. Nothing like they used to be back in the day when Barry Sanders would come out and run 2 or 3 plays and he would be done for the game. But, I mean, that was real football back then. And you and I have always liked the Pro Bowl. I remember back when they used to have the everybody wore a helmet for the National League or the American League, and then they eventually went to letting everybody wear their own helmets from their team, which I thought was pretty cool. But it's always been a really nice end of the year celebration. After the Super Bowl to watch the Pro Bowl. It's in Hawaii. The weather's great. You're looking at snow outside your window here in Michigan, but you get to see hula dancers on the sideline and the great weather and the surf and the blue sky and the NFL players. And now it's a thing of the past.
Yep. It disappoints me. I was very much into this game. Like you said, saw the writing on the wall.
Yeah.
My only concern is this just a stopgap to just losing a Pro Bowl weekend altogether? Because a flag football game, I'm sorry, the NFL is hit and miss sometimes now, especially lately with presentation. I want to say they hit it out of the park a lot of times, but they've had some misfires, NFL Plus. But I think if they do it right, if they market everything correctly and it is actually entertaining and makes me tune in, then maybe they'll have something on their hands. It's hard to say because, I remember back in the day watching the skill competitions and just randomly catching them, in the early 2000s or whatever. You'd see Peyton Manning and Drew Bledsoe out there heaving a ball down the field to see who could throw the ball the farthest. Those competitions were fun. Mm-hmm. And I know lately they've been kind of amping it up and doing tic-tac-toe or NFC, AFC dodgeball game. I could care less about some of that stuff. Bring back true skill competitions. You got a lot of really talented players. Get some of these fast dudes out there and be like, hey, Tyreek Hill, why don't you run that 40-yard dash? And, let's see how fast the current NFL players are. You make them do it for the combine. I'd say just have a little fun. Just run a 40-yard dash. Mm-hmm. I know they're trying to avoid injury and all that, so maybe they wouldn't do something like that. But I really hope they can find some sort of new thing to make us go, I cannot wait to watch the Pro Bowl this year. Because I do think all these guys should be celebrated. It stinks not seeing the players who are playing in the Super Bowl. If Matt Stafford was in the Pro Bowl last year, he wouldn't have been there because he's got to prep for the Super Bowl.
Right.
Maybe something like this could make it so that, hey, for a day, Matthew Stafford or whoever the quarterbacks are, if they were in the Pro Bowl lineup in the Super Bowl, fly out to Vegas real quick, do that, and then they can fly down to Arizona. It's not that far of a trip now. Yeah. But we'll see. I'm very skeptical. I just don't have any interest in a flag football game. When they did this, the NFL Legends flag football, you got Jerry Rice out there with Emmett Smith. Some of these greats out there just having fun, goofing around. That could be entertaining doing it like that. But your current players, I don't know. I might not even tune in at all now.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm extremely upset that the game is going away. Like I said, it was a part of my life, for many, many years, even before you were born. I always looked forward to the Pro Bowl, but now it's just a thing of the past. I hate to see it.
And the only way you're going to be able to see it now is probably in the Madden video games, having the all-star players play against each other. That's about it.
Yeah, I'll never see it then because I don't play video games.
Yeah, there you go. What a sad life you lead.
Yeah. Okay, let's see. A little bit of college news here. LSU's been put on a 1-year probation for recruiting violations. The Tigers fired offensive line coach James Craig in June of 2021 after he admitted to violating NCAA rules. He had some unauthorized in-person contact with recruits during a dead period. I guess that's where you're not supposed to have any kind of contact with anybody, and providing them with some LSU gear out of his own house, and he was driving them around and showing them where they could stay. This is a guy
who wasn't even part of the new staff that just came in with Notre Dame's old coach, Brian Kelly. So, man, getting slapped with a violation for something that somebody who's not in your university anymore.
Yeah, he's with the 49ers now, I guess.
So,
And he helped lead the LSU to a national championship, and now he's... They fired him, and then I read that he went to court, or a judge agreed that they fired him for no cause, and so he got $500,000 from a legal settlement from LSU, I guess. So what a mess, but just a 1-year probation. I'm not sure of all the details, but this was what I gleaned from the article that I read about it. So. I'm assuming this means that they can't go to a bowl this particular year. Maybe next year they can. All right, Eli's Places, Season 2, Episode 7 on ESPN+. This was a really good episode. I mean, you've seen a lot of highlights from it.
This was the most clips I've seen from Eli's Places that made it all over the internet and took it by storm. Mainly specifically for one Chad Powers.
Yeah. He was so good when they made him up to look at. This episode was called Walk-Ons, and he talked to Stetson Bennett of the quarterback from Georgia about how he was a walk-on, I guess at Texas Tech or someplace else.
He's got a great story.
Yeah, and winds up winning a national championship, but he started out as a walk-on. So Eli wanted to know what it was like to be a walk-on. What do you have to do? How do they decide if they're going to let you walk onto a team? So he went to Penn State. And he got made up and called himself Chad Powers, and he showed up at an open recruiting thing one day, and he was so good. He was talking about himself in the third person, and he was doing the 40-yard dash, and the whole time he's muttering, "Think fast, run fast. Think fast, run fast. Think fast, run fast." It was so good, and he's firing the ball around. Some of the coaches are going, "Dang, this Powers guy is pretty good. He's got a good arm on him." But I guess what they didn't show was supposedly, I think they were talking about this last night.
I don't know if Peyton was just making a joke.
Yeah,
or
I don't know. I didn't hear that.
It was a fun.
It wasn't on the show, but he said, "Yeah, he throws pretty good, but not as good as Peyton Manning. He looks like Peyton Manning, but he doesn't throw as good." Or as Eli.
I think that was just a Peyton thing, but
could be.
I mean, what's great is I didn't watch the episode, but seeing the clips and the head coach was in on it.
Yep.
Nobody else was.
And he was the only one at that whole tryout that was in on it.
That's great.
And he wasn't there. He stayed out of the way and let his assistants do all the running them through.
Oh, that's
drills
even better.
And whatnot.
That's even better.
But last night on the Monday night game, the Manning cast, Peyton Manning had a T-shirt made up with a drawing of Chad Powers on.
Do you want that for Christmas?
Yeah. It was pretty cool.
I'll get you every item with Chad Powers' face on it. You will have a Chad Powers Christmas.
Maybe
this
a
year.
Coffee mug. Chad Powers coffee mug.
All right, let's see how much that's worth. Where can I find a Chad Powers coffee mug?
But no, this was one of the. I mean, I like all his episodes. I like Eli. I like what he does. The stories that he tells on this show about college football history are really interesting. I've learned some stuff from watching it. But this I think was the best one, at least for this season. Him dressed up as Chad Powers.
Here's a coffee mug. I'm gonna turn around and I'll tell everybody what you're looking at. I want to see if you laugh though.
Think fast, run fast, Chad Powers.
Yeah. There we go, everybody. All the merch with "Think Fast, Run Fast" on it. Randy, you're getting all of that.
Well, my Christmas is set.
Yep. Merry Christmas, Randy. All this random merchandise. In 2 years, everybody's gonna be like, "Who's Chad Powers?"
Yeah. Okay, let's see. Arena Football TV on YouTube. They posted a game from the 2000 season featuring the Florida Bobcats at the Tampa Bay Storm. The Bobcats were only around from 1996 to 2001. And, you and I went to our first game in 2000, and I've never actually seen the Bobcats in person. So it's kind of cool. I've got one of their helmets back here right behind me on the shelf.
I always liked their logo.
Yeah, it was a cool logo, but we never actually saw them in person.
I liked the uniform and everything, and, yeah, we just never got to see him.
Yep, and they never came to Grand Rapids while we were, a season ticket holder. But, yeah, kind of cool to see the Florida Bobcats, one of the rare teams in the Arena Football League that it was kind of cool to see him on TV. So check that out on Arena Football TV on YouTube. All right, today's birthdays, I have one for September 27th. A guy by the name of William Shakespeare. Not that guy, but William Shakespeare. Born on this date in 1912. He died in 1974 at the age of 61. He went to Notre Dame and was a really good player. And he was drafted into the NFL, but he never played in the NFL. And we're actually going to have a little bit more on him in our history lesson because he had a couple of cool nicknames. So when I saw that, I said, yep, we got to add him to the nickname list this week. So we'll be talking more about William Shakespeare here in just a little bit. All right, we do have two obituaries this week. The first one is Daryl Mudra, a longtime college football head coach, has passed away at the age of 93. Nicknamed Dr. Victory. He served as the head coach at Adams State College, North Dakota State, the University of Arizona, Western Illinois University, Florida State University, Eastern Illinois, and the University of Northern Iowa between 1959 and 1987. He won 2 national championships during his career, a Division I AA championship, which is now FCS, at North Dakota State in 1965, and a Division II national championship in 1978 at Eastern Illinois. He compiled a career college football record of 200 wins, 81 losses, and 4 ties. Mudra was also the head coach of the Montreal Alouettes of the Canadian Football League for 1 season in 1966. Mudra was inducted into the College Football Hall of Fame as a coach in 2000.
And our final obituary is that of Herb Lusk, a running back in the NFL for 3 seasons, has passed away at the age of 69. Lusk played college football at Long Beach State and was selected in the 10th round of the 1976 NFL Draft by the Philadelphia Eagles. He played for the Eagles from 1976 to 1978. He was known as the Praying Tailback because he was the first NFL player to kneel in the end zone and pray after scoring a touchdown on October 9th, 1977. You were just a 18-year-old kid out of high school then. Yep. In a road game against the New York Giants. Lusk went on to become the pastor of the Great Exodus Baptist Church in Philadelphia. He also served as the team chaplain for the Eagles.
Yeah, I'd never heard this particular story. The
either.
Praying tailback, and he was the first one.
It's something you see a lot of players do, and to think that's where that originated is very fascinating.
All the way back to 1977. Yep, I thought that was very interesting. All right, unless you've run across anything that we need to talk about before we move on to this.
Other than the Giants having a guy who's going to be out for the rest of the year now for an injury he sustained last night during the game. Which was gruesome. Yeah. Now it brings back up the discussion we've had for years about grass versus turf and how these billion-dollar stadiums can't even just afford to just maintain a grass field anymore. It's just interesting that's where the debate always comes back to. So whatever, we can move on to your history lesson.
Okay. This week we continue our discussion of the greatest player nicknames in football history, and this is part 5. We have 5 more this week. Did you say 4 at the top of the show? You might have said, you didn't change it. And you said part 4 at the beginning of the show. Oh, okay. Sorry.
Way to go.
This is part 5.
Oh, man, I love catching you in a goof up.
Well, it's not hard to do. Okay, so we have 5 more this week, part 5 of our discussion. The first one on our list is wide receiver and kick returner Billy White Shoes Johnson.
Oh, yeah. This is one of the greatest nicknames of all time.
He actually got his nickname while he was in high school in Pennsylvania. I did not know this. He had his cleats dyed white when everyone else was wearing black shoes. Back in this is like the late 60s, early 70s, nobody had white cleats. Everybody's shoes were the same. They were all black. And for some reason he just decided, I want to stand out. I'm going to dye them white. And he did. And, the rest is history. He played college football at Widener University in Pennsylvania. It's a Division III school now. I'm not sure what it was back then when he was playing. But he was selected in the 15th round of the 1974 NFL Draft by the Houston Oilers, where he played from 1974 to 1980. He then went up to Canada and played 1 season with the Montreal Alouettes in the Canadian Football League in 1981. Then he returned to the NFL to play for the Atlanta Falcons from 1982 to 1987, and he finished his playing career with the Washington Redskins in 1988. So many great highlights of Billy White Shoes Johnson. Great kick returner. He kind of reminded me of Barry Sanders because every time he got the ball, you just knew he had the potential to take it all the way, and he may not have scored on every punt return, but man, he had some great returns over the years. And get in the end zone, and he'd start doing his white shoes dance. And
classic.
Yep, great footage from NFL films over the years. All right, the next one on our list is quarterback Broadway Joe Namath, and I never knew this story either. He got his nickname as a rookie quarterback with the Jets. A teammate of his, Sherman Plunkett, began referring to Namath as Broadway Joe after Joe Namath appeared on the cover of Sports Illustrated with the lights of Broadway in the background. I did not know that. After a stellar college career at Alabama, Namath was selected he was the first overall pick in the 1965 AFL draft by the New York Jets. He was also selected with the 12th overall pick in the 1965 NFL draft by the St. Louis Cardinals. Of course, he chose to play with the Jets and was there from 1965 to 1976. He won Super Bowl III and was named the MVP of the Super Bowl. And a lot of people don't remember this, but he finished his playing career in 1977 with the Los Angeles Rams.
Yeah, he's one of those guys where that'd be another great history lesson is guys who you didn't know played for, like, who was Montana playing with the Chiefs.
Right.
Namath playing with the Rams. I don't think I knew about that.
Johnny Unitas played for the Chargers.
Right, yeah.
For a year
It's
or
crazy
so.
stuff like
yeah,
that.
There's some great players that you only associate with one team, but they finished their careers.
Matt Stafford playing with the Los Angeles Rams.
There you
Who would
go,
have known? Who would have known?
Future Hall of Fame quarterback, Matt Stafford. But, Broadway Joe Namath was inducted into the Pro Football Hall of Fame in 1985. The next one, running back Gail Sayers, known as the Kansas Comet. What a great nickname.
Oh, here we go. Yeah, great.
He earned the nickname while playing at the University of Kansas for his speed on the football field. He was the 4th overall pick in the 1965 NFL Draft by the Chicago Bears, where he played from 1965 to 1971. In his rookie season, he scored 6 touchdowns, count them 6, in one game against the San Francisco 49ers. There was 4 rushing touchdowns, 1 receiving touchdown, and 1 punt return. That man could do everything. A knee injury ended his playing career after only 7 seasons, but still, he was inducted into the Pro Football Hall of Fame in 1977. What a cool name, the Kansas Comet.
That is a great one.
Yeah, I was searching for information on the Kansas Comet, and I thought Comet was spelled with a K the way Kansas was, but it's not. It's Comet with a C, so it took me a little while to figure that out. All right, the 4th name on our list, defensive tackle Mean Joe Greene. He got his nickname in college at North Texas. The student section began calling him Mean Green, and the name just kind of stuck over the years. He was the 4th overall pick in the 1969 NFL Draft by the Pittsburgh Steelers, where he played from 1969 to 1981, winning 4 Super Bowls with that team. I think he's most famous for his 1979 Coke commercial. You've seen that on YouTube, haven't you?
Oh yeah, of course.
And he was also in the 1980 movie Smokey and the Bandit 2, along with Terry Bradshaw. You probably don't remember this, but there's a scene where they're driving through a football stadium, and Terry Bradshaw's talking with Burt Reynolds and Sally Field, and Buford comes along in his police car, and he yells, "Hey, Joe!" And Mean Joe Greene stands up and goes, "Tackle that car!" And so he steps in front of the car and actually turns it over with.
I don't know if I've ever seen that.
Buford and his son in the car. Yeah, that's a pretty good scene. And then he was also in a 1973 movie, The Black Six, with fellow NFL players Lem Barney, Mercury Morris, Gene Washington, Willie Lanier, and Carl Eller. I got to get that in my collection. I've known about this movie for a while, but I just haven't done enough searching to actually find a copy of that. They have a copy of that in a display at the Hall of Fame. Did I point that out to you last time we were there?
I can't remember.
But yeah, they have a copy of that in a glass case. But Mean Joe Greene, inducted into the Pro Football Hall of Fame in 1987. And finally on our list, the man we've already talked about, halfback and punter William Shakespeare. He had a couple different nicknames. He was from New Jersey, or the area around New York. So his nickname was the Bard of Staten Island. He came to South Bend to play for Notre Dame, where he got the nickname the Bard of South Bend, and he was also known as the Merchant of Menace. I thought that is great, the Merchant of Menace. That's the whole reason I decided to add him to this list this week. He was an All-American halfback at Notre Dame. He was the 3rd overall pick in the 1936 NFL Draft by the Pittsburgh Pirates. That was the very first NFL Draft, 1936, and he's the 3rd player picked. But he never played in the NFL. He was 3rd in Heisman Trophy voting in 1935 behind Jay Berwanger, the very first Heisman Trophy winner. And William Shakespeare was inducted into the College Football Hall of Fame in 1983. So you can look him up on the College Football Hall of Fame site and look up William Shakespeare. Not the one you're thinking of, but another Bill Shakespeare.
I mean, the fact that we've gone through 25 just absolute great nicknames, or at least 25 guys with multiple nicknames for some in some cases. Like, it's just you don't get that today, man. It bums me out. Like I said, you might eventually get to some of the current guys, and then that'll end this list, because I mean, there's only a couple, and we won't say them here in case you decide to do them. But
no, I don't have too many of the newer ones because they're not that good. To me, they've got to be just outstanding, and the ones that we've mentioned so far have been outstanding. I've got a few more weeks of these to go.
Really milking this one.
So I've got more to go. Another 5 next week or week after. I'm not sure, But great nicknames, great player nicknames in football history. So these are not just NFL, but it's some college as well.
Yeah. All right, upcoming events.
This Sunday, October 2nd, the Minnesota Vikings will be taking on the New Orleans Saints at Tottenham Hotspur Stadium in London. That's a 9:30 a.m. kickoff on the NFL Network. You're going to be driving to a Lions game that day.
Yes, I will. It's going to be a long day that day.
I think I'll do a fancy breakfast of biscuits and gravy and scrambled eggs and really...
well, not tea and biscuits. I mean, come on.
No.
Tea and crumpets.
Tea for breakfast? No.
Tea and crumpets.
So. Nope. Can't do that. All right, and then Sunday, October 9th, the New York Giants versus the Green Bay Packers at that same Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. Another 9:30 a.m. kickoff on the NFL Network. Saturday, October 29th, the CFL regular season ends and the playoffs will begin. Sunday, October 30th, the Denver Broncos versus the Jacksonville Jaguars at Wembley Stadium in London, across town, I guess. That's another 9:30 a.m. kickoff, and that's going to be exclusively on ESPN+. So get out your laptop or your phone for that one.
Or if you just got the app on your TV, come on. We're not animals. We're not barbarians.
Maybe. What is this app you speak of on the TV?
Uh-huh.
Sunday, November 13th, Seattle Seahawks at versus the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in Munich, Germany. Man, it's been a long time since they've played a game in Germany. Going back to the NFL Europe days, I think. But that should be interesting to see that stadium. That's another 9:30 a.m. kickoff. That game is also going to be on NFL Network. Sunday, November 20th, the CFL Grey Cup Championship game is going to be played in Saskatchewan. You'll be able to catch that game on ESPN. And finally, Monday, November 21st, San Francisco versus Arizona in Mexico City. This is going to be the Monday Night Football game on ESPN. So a lot of five out of the country games coming up in the next several weeks. So
very
should be
excited
interesting.
About that. I love waking up at 9:30 in the morning and going, oh, there's football on right now. It's great. It's Christmas every Sunday.
It's like being on the West Coast, where you can get
where you can watch all your games and go to bed at a decent time.
Tell me about it.
Gosh.
All right. Anything else before we bring the show to a close?
Should be good. We've definitely gotten over your hopes and dreams of hitting the 45-minute mark.
Okay.
But, hey, we just had too much stuff to talk about this week, I guess.
All right. Well, that's all the time we've got for this week. If you learned something during this podcast about the incredible amount of diversity that exists in the world of football, then we've done our job. Visit our website at theworldoffootball.com for news, links, upcoming events, videos, and more. Our email address is info@theworldoffootball.com.
You can like The World of Football on Facebook at TWOF Kalamazoo. You can also follow us on Twitter. The address is at TWOF Kalamazoo. New episodes of this podcast are posted every Tuesday and are available on our SoundCloud, Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, TuneIn, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and YouTube platforms. We don't own those platforms. That's just where you can find us.
We own a spot on them.
So our YouTube channel is The World of Football Kalamazoo, so do a search for us there, and you will find all of our videos, including the audio version of this podcast, which, I put all my heart and soul into every week that Randy might not do next week. That's right. I might not even be here next week. We didn't even lead with that. Should have led with that.
No, you're gonna be out of the state visiting some friends on the West Coast.
Yeah, and, going on a little adventure out on the West Coast. So I will not be here next week.
So I will be doing the podcast by myself, and I've got some interesting
big
things
ideas
planned. Yeah, a few surprises. So make sure you check that out. It'll be the Adamless show next week.
Man, he's taking the show back to the dark ages is what he's doing. Don't forget to subscribe, rate, review, give us a like, leave us a comment, let us know what you think, and please come be a part of the football conversation because we all know Randy needs somebody to talk to next week.
Yeah. And remember, folks, some people may love football more than we do, but nobody, and I mean nobody, loves more football than we do. Until next time, I'm Randy Snow.
And I won't be here. So until the next time, we'll
see you all next week or later.